Resilience in our children. So this webinar is for parents who wish to help their children to be able to ride the ups and downs of life. We'll explore the skills we need to manage the challenges that they will face and suggest ways we can teach them. So these are practical and simple to incorporate into everyday life. They'll include thinking about what we as adults say and do and how that may or may not be helpful. Okay, and we'll send out these slides after the session as well, so you'll have everything that you need. Okay, so the webinar guidelines. So this webinar is designed to equip you with tools and knowledge of how you can help yourself and your child. It's a non-judgmental and accepting attitude. So please don't berate yourself. You're doing the best you can with the skills and knowledge that you have. And it's really wonderful that you're attending this webinar to gain tools to add to your kit. Please use the Q&A function. So Pretty will be monitoring that and she'll answer as many questions as she can. And as you're listening to the webinar, please have in mind yourself and your child because you know them best. So the objectives, first of all, we want to remove all stress about being a perfect parent today. Okay, so we can take that and get that bit gone. So we're going to have a look at what is resilience, how it helps our children's mental health and ours, how it helps them achieve their potential. We're going to look at what are the building blocks of resilience, how you can help. So we'll provide you with strategies to actively develop resilience. And we're also going to look at things that undermine resilience, and then how to use play to build resilience. So what is resilience? We're going to look at that first. So how it helps our children's mental health and ours, and how it helps children to achieve their full potential. So resilience is the process of adapting well in the face of adversity, trauma, or stress. Resilience is not a special quality located within a child or a young person. Resilience is something that emerges through a child or young person's interaction with others at home, at school, and in their community. So all children are capable of working through challenges and coping with stress. Resilience is the ability to bounce back from stress, challenges and adversity, and even trauma. It's having enough resources to manage challenges. Resilience is a skill that children develop and grow. It isn't something that they just have. And as much as we can try to protect our children from stress, we can't prevent it. And most children will experience some form of challenge. This could be moving house, bullying, dealing with loss, parental separation or divorce, exams, grief. They're just some examples. And while some of these obstacles may seem small to an adult, to a child, they can be overwhelming and all-consuming. So having resilience helps a child navigate these situations. So we're going to look at resilience and mental health. We all experience stress, and a certain level of stress is okay. This could be pressure, work pressure, financial burdens, health worries. There's plenty more. And social media also plays a part in stress too. So it's constantly vying for our attention. So we're on the go 24 hours a day. In the times of the caveman, stress was about real threats, such as being chased by a tiger. But today, our stress is more often than not about perceived threats. A certain level of stress is healthy, But when it's over a longer period of time, it becomes toxic stress, inhibiting our bodies from functioning properly. So cortisol and adrenaline flood into our bodies faster than we can handle. This not only affects our physical health, but our mental health too. In order to adapt to these highly adverse conditions, we need high levels of resilience. So if we're all experiencing stress daily, why do some cope with high levels of stress and others find things more challenging? So this can depend on the resources we have available to us and how confident we feel in our abilities to handle stressful situations. Weighed up against life's challenges and events, and how many demands are placed on us on a daily basis. And then for women, we have our monthly cycle to contend to as well. This is also true of our children. They may be having a challenging time at school, and that it might not just be with the learning, but also there's lots of friendship issues that come up. Maybe they aren't sleeping very well. Maybe they have a poorly pet. But the point is, it's about balance, and that we all experience different kinds of challenges. So bad stuff happens. As parents, we worry about our children, it's natural, and we want to protect them from painful experiences. And to a certain degree, when they are really little, that is the role of a parent, carer. However, bad stuff does happen. It's a fact of life, and as hard as that sounds, it is true. So we can't and won't be in our children's lives all the time. So if we continue to protect our children from every little thing, then how are they going to develop the coping skills to manage when you aren't there? How will they develop resilience? So that doesn't mean that we leave them to cope on their own. No one should need to cope alone, but we can give them the tools to at least manage part of their challenges on their own. So let's have a look at some facts about resilience. So resilience is associated with better academic performance because children are able to cope with the pressure of school life and exams. Relationships are more satisfying. Children and young people can handle life's challenges such as friendship fallouts, rejection and loss. There's greater life opportunities. They're likely feel more confident to try different things without the fear of failing stopping them. And then they'll have a feeling of optimism and hopeful. They are key to mental well-being. So we're going to look now at what the building blocks are and strategies to actively develop resilience. So the 7 C's of resilience has been adapted from the 5 C's model of the positive youth development. The 7 C's models are a way of scaffolding our learning about resilience. There is more information in the book called Building Resilience in Children and Teens by Kenneth Ginsberg. So we're going to have a look at each one of these separately. So the 7 C's are competence, confidence, connection, character, contribution, coping, and control. Competence. So competence is not a small feeling of I can do this, but it's the ability to know how to handle a situation effectively. Competence is something that is acquired through actual experience. We can help our child develop this through focusing on their strengths, so pointing them out and letting them develop and build on them. So recognizing their skills, validating them, and give them small challenges to build on their strengths and knowing your child's strengths. So I don't mean praise as in that's great, but more specific. So I like the way you placed that object very carefully and it didn't fall over. Or I like the way the door didn't bang when you closed it. Then we want to notice what they're doing really well. So point out the things they do well. Sometimes we can focus on their mistakes and correct them, but how often do we actually point out what they are doing well? So again, it's the specifics. Then we want to empower your child to make their own decisions. So you can do this by coaching them, so facilitating them rather than lecturing. So we want to think about our narrative, and I'll come on to this more in the next slide. Let them make safe mistakes. So rather than protecting them from every fall, let them make mistakes and solve problems. If we protect them every time, then we're sending them the message of, I don't think you can handle this. And if we spend all our time micromanaging our children, we never give them the opportunity to learn for themselves, to make mistakes and believe in themselves, to know that they can change them. So how will they learn to navigate in this world by themselves if your child or young person has a problem at school or with friends? You can listen to them and let them work it out in their own way. So allow them the space to talk, and then not go in with trying to fix it, but allow them to find their own way. This improves competence in their own abilities to sort out issues. So empower your child to make their own decisions. So we can do this by coaching instead of lecturing. For example, your child doesn't want to eat the dinner that you've served tonight. So instead of eat your dinner or there's no dessert, you could say something like, okay, I can see you don't want to eat tea tonight. What about you make something that's nutritious? So here you're encouraging them to make you're encouraging your child to make something else, such as like a peanut butter sandwich with brown bread and peppers. So you're thinking about your proteins, carbohydrates, and vegetables, rather than forcing them to eat the dinner that's in front of them. But it's obviously not a hotel, so they're making their own healthy dinner. If they're throwing a ball inside, maybe saying, instead of saying don't throw the ball inside, balls are for playing in the garden, shall we take it outside? Then we've got, if you usually do your homework after tea, but this evening the grandparents are visiting, so instead of enforcing that rule and being rigid, we could say, usually we do homework after tea, but as your grandparents are visiting, when do you think it would be a good idea to do your homework? So again, you're giving them the chance to make the decision. And if there's something you want to change, you could say, how about we come up with a plan together? So you're working together as a team and you're allowing them to make their decisions, and you're doing it together collaboratively. If your child has a goal that they want to achieve, you could say, how about we look at ways to achieve it? You could also play decision-making games, such as what would you do if? So for older children, you could role play scenarios of peer pressure, i.e., what would you do if someone offered you alcohol? Or what would you do if someone was bullying you or one of your friends? So they could act out each outcome and see what feels right for them. Okay. So you can build competence as well through play. So let them find where the last puzzle piece goes, or work out what's needed in a recipe. Let them solve small challenges. Let your young person set realistic goals and teach them that perfect doesn't exist. Tell them of your own imperfections and how you have learnt and grown from them. Competence is a work in progress. So we'd have a look at confidence. Confidence is having the solid belief in one's own abilities. It comes directly from competence and includes confidence to manage mistakes well. So by supporting your child to gain their own abilities, to find their own island of competence, you're enabling your child to gain enough confidence to try new ventures and to trust that they are able to make good choices. You can do this by creating age-appropriate opportunities for experiencing success. So we're not pushing them too hard, but we're just building slowly. Do you always see the best in your children? So seeing the best in your child allows them to see the best in themselves, helps them to recognize what they have done well, and notice when they've done something without being asked. Notice when they have been kind, funny, generous, and point these qualities out to them. Let them know that you see them. You see the good things they do and the qualities they possess. So perhaps noticing and saying things like, I really like it when you're kind to your sister, or you were being so gentle with your pet just now. Or I can see you are trying really hard to complete your maths homework, or you persevered with that tricky question and you managed to use the problem-solving skills to work it out. So we're being specific rather than that was nice or well done. But make sure you're being sincere as well. Children spot a mile off when praise is just words. In today's world, with so much adversity, it can be easy to want to wrap our children up and protect them. But by doing this, we undermine their confidence in themselves. We want to teach them to love themselves. So let them have boundaries, and it's okay to say no if they need to. Allow your child to make mistakes. We can't rescue them all the time, but acknowledging their mistakes and letting them know you don't require perfection can build confidence. Let them find solutions, knowing you are there to support them along the way. Even if they've made a mistake, you love them unconditionally. So mistakes are part of growing and learning. Praise your child for admitting their mistake and help them look at the good side of making mistakes. We get to try again if we make a mistake, and we get to improve ourselves by growing and learning. So the third C is connection. When children are part of a group, a community, a family, they feel safe and supported. They know others are there to guide them and help them, and they know that they're not alone. If they are struggling, they can call on others for support. When you ask for support from friends and family, you're letting your child know that they have other trusted adults in their lives too. So this forms a sense of connection, giving a child a sense of security. So let your child know that they can go to others for support in times of need. Like it's okay to ask for help. And for some children, going to groups can be really nerve-wracking, and also maybe for you as a parent as well. So how can we get past this? You want to think about what your child likes. What are they interested in? For example, I've noticed you really enjoy Lego. There's a Lego club on at the library. Perhaps we could take a look and see if it's something you might like to try. So maybe encourage a friend to go with them and take them to watch the activity first. So letting them know that they don't have to join in if they don't want to. Some children take time to become accustomed to new things. So perhaps choose a small group activity so they aren't overwhelmed by big groups or noisy environments. And then let your child know you're proud of them. Compliment them on what they've achieved along the way. Perhaps schedule to do an activity with them. And then once they're used to it or enjoying it, encourage a friend to come along and they do it together. Talk about what you know they will like about the activity and point out their strengths along the way. And focus on how much fun they will have. For example, you get to hang out with your best friend all afternoon and you'll learn a new sport together. And if the activity is not a good fit for your child, don't force them into it because you think it's a good idea. Instead, praise them for trying and maybe say something like, let's have a look for something else to try when you're ready. So continuing with connection, you want to help your child find their passion. So let them try different hobbies until they find what they love. And from there, they connect with others who are passionate about the same thing. Talk about what makes a good friend, what things they value in a friendship. If you have a team, let them have time alone with their friends. This allows them to form greater connections and teaches them how to handle relationships, build connection, time with them too. So find out what they like doing and do it together. So if they like music, maybe go to a concert together. If it's shopping, you could have a shopping day out together, or you could take a movie. And then let your teens speak without jumping in to give advice. Really listen to them, educate them, and allow them to make informed decisions about screen time rather than just limiting it. So perhaps discuss, you could have discussions around what they're not doing if they are on their screens, but it's something that you do together. Okay, so character. To develop a strong character, children need to have a sense of what is right or wrong. This enables them to make healthy choices, contribute to the world, and become stable adults. Knowing your values and coaching your child will help develop their character. So if as parents or carers, if we know our values, we can move through life according to our values and beliefs. This in turn develops a good level of self-worth and confidence. And that's true for your children. So teach your children not to compare themselves to others. We're all unique and each have our own strengths and challenges. Perhaps talk to your teen about what is happening in the world and if it aligns with their values. And if not, what could they do to make things better? So have a look at contribution. When our child knows they contribute to the world and the world is a better place just by them being in it, can be a really powerful lesson for children. It's a powerful motivator as well, and they gain a sense of purpose. So doing things such as performing acts of kindness together, you could gather some ideas, make a list and decide when you'll begin. You could encourage recycling in the home and let your child know they're contributing to the planet. And if you have a teen, they could maybe volunteer in a charity shop or an animal shelter. And let your child, a young person, contribute to family discussions. So let them know you value their feedback, invite their thoughts and opinions in, and allow them to make choices in a family home. As a parent, you could role model for your child. So show them how you are being kind to other people. Perhaps encourage your child to send a card to Nan or Grandad. You could plant a tree, do a sponsored walk or run. Just have a think about how you contribute to your community. So coping. When children are shown positive ways to cope with life's stressful situations, they're better equipped to overcome life's challenges. So we say we're modeling positive coping strategies. So we can do this by modeling and consistently showing our children how we problem solve. So you can do this by living your life out loud. So speaking the steps that you're going to take to solve a problem. Okay, so modeling well-being for your child as well. So getting adequate sleep, eating a nutritious diet, exercising, teaching relaxation techniques. By modeling and teaching coping strategies, we're giving our children life tools to use rather than resorting to risky behaviour to avoid the pain they feel. So active coping is something we can teach our children. Active coping is acknowledging that something's difficult and then finding something to make things a little easier. So how we are actively doing something rather than feeling defeated. So recognizing small successes your child makes helps give them the knowledge that they can succeed. And allowing our children to fail and pick up teaches them to trust and appreciate their own skills. So as I said earlier, if we step in and solve every problem for our child, we only achieve short-term results. But in the longer term, we're setting our children up for long-term disappointment and struggles. So control. So we want to let our children have some control over the outcomes of their decisions and their actions. That helps them know that they can bounce back from life's adversities. Resilient children know they have some control over how they respond to situations. So if we're able to work out what we can influence and what we can't, we are better able to plan a response. So of course, they aren't responsible for everything, for good and bad things happening. No one has that level of control, but we can teach positive coping behaviours to control how we respond. So let your child know that there are some things that happen that are out of their control. We can't control everything around us, but we can control how we respond to it and our behaviour. So this is quite a useful image to help work out what we can and can't control. So we've got on the inside things I can control. So you could do this with your child and they can fill out things that they can control. So we've got here my words, my actions, my ideas, my play, my effort, my mistakes, my behaviour. And then things outside my control, other people's actions, other people's mistakes, other people's feelings, other people's ideas, other people's behaviour, other people's play, other people's words. So it's a good tool to use. Okay, so we're going to have a look now at things that undermine resilience. So things to avoid are rescuing, over-comforting, over-teaching, criticising without positives, avoiding all risks, forgetting their age, and being unable to tolerate them being upset. So sometimes as parents, we allow our own worries and anxieties to prevent us from allowing our children to have theirs. It is worth taking some time and thinking about how we react and feel in situations. So when our child cries, are we able to give them a chance to make themselves feel better? Or do we rush in to solve it for them? When they say, I can't do it, for example, putting their shoes on, or do we just do it for them? Or do we take a deep breath? Allow some extra time to support them. So it's worth having to think about those situations where we might rush in to rescue. So we're going to have a look now at using play to build resilience in our child. So evidence suggests that play as a unique behaviour supports and enhances the development of resilience. Play offers the opportunity to create, resolve uncertainty, not so much as when placing oneself in jeopardy, but more in relation to feelings of excitement, courage, and resilience in the face of imagined disaster. Play helps build resilience. Resilient children are braver, more curious, and take risks to expand themselves. Play helps build emotional regulation, encourages use of their imagination and creative abilities, and helps them connect with other people, learning and problem solving. So we can introduce play in lots of ways, and it doesn't have to be full of imagination. Games, movement, collecting, experimenting are all situations where we can practice things going wrong in a risk-free environment. So here's some ideas for you. Being outdoors in nature, climbing trees, building dens, and using the natural world to make pictures, using all of our senses to see and explore the world, planting seeds to grow flowers and food, role-playing and dressing up to play with identity. Movement, such as running, jumping, climbing, balancing, all helping physically and mentally. Play fighting, so rough and tumble. Shopping with a calculator and a budget, so having to put things back. Asking for help. And then maybe doing some safe dares. So all these activities help build confidence and character in our children. So let us summarize what we've talked about this evening. How can we build resilience with our children? So we use the 7 C's, which was competence, finding opportunities to build on strength. Confidence, see the best in your child and believe in their abilities, so they have a solid belief in themselves. Connection, building a community around your child, giving them a chance to work with others and support and be supported, so letting them know that they aren't alone. Character, creates values so they know right from wrong and can make healthy choices. Contribution, let your child know the world is a better place for them in it. Let them know that they make a difference in the world. Coping, teaching coping skills, taking care of your own well-being and modeling good coping skills. Control, let your child know they can control how they respond to circumstances. Play is one of the best ways that we can build resilience in our children. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the presentation. So I'm going to put in the chat a Survey Monkey, and also Pretty and I are here as well to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.